Rosen is in focus with me now. So first of all, identify it for us. You're in a session and you pick up on what?
Well, Harris, it doesn't take long for me to pick up on this. People are obsessed with Trump. They're fixated. They're hyper-fixated on Trump. And they talk about some of the features of this disorder. They can't sleep. They feel traumatized by Mr. Trump. They feel restless. I had one patient who said she couldn't enjoy a vacation because anytime she saw Trump in the news or on her device, she felt triggered. So this is a profound pathology, and I would even go so far as to call it the defining pathology of our time.
These people come to you for the things that you described. Can't sleep, traumatized, perhaps depression. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But at first, you are there to treat an illness, a disorder of some kind. And what you figure out is the trigger.
Well, and Trump is the trigger for many of these people. And to be that fixated on a figure, on a person, it's simply not healthy. And our country has strayed so far away from where we once were. If you look at in the 80s when President Reagan was shot, people were united. He famously said, I hope you're all Republicans, to the surgeons. And the response was, today, Mr. President, we're all Republicans. But our country has lost that. We've strayed so far from that unity.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see? Because you told me off camera 3/4 of your patient load right now has what you're calling this TDS.
Well, 3/4 of my patients will present with a lot of these symptoms, and within probably 5 minutes of seeing me, their hatred for Trump comes up. So if you're that hyper-focused on Trump, that's a real issue, and it's worth...
All right, folks, today we are diving into the madness. Therapists are finally admitting Trump Derangement Syndrome is legit. It's a legitimate mental meltdown. All right, then we're going to expose the welfare waste with Snap's big shakeup, blue state budget bombshells, courtesy of a one-party Democratic disaster. And Michelle Obama is back in the news, and she's on her endless victim parade, blaming white hair standards for Black folks' woes. It's Friday, and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi.
All right, we've got an exciting show for you all tonight. But before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. And we love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. It is Friday, finally Friday. Before we get into the news, how are you ladies doing tonight? I'll start with you, Nicole. How are you doing?
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. This has been the longest week. Thank God it's Friday. So looking forward to this weekend.
Same here. What about you, Shelly?
I'm glad it's Friday. Honestly, I'm glad it's Friday. I'll keep it that way. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm looking forward to just getting a few things done, having some fun, and just getting some rest.
All right. All right. Well, folks, shout out in the chat. What do you guys have planned for this weekend? What are you looking forward to after all the stuff we're talking about tonight? Again, we're talking about this TDS. We're talking about Democrats in Maryland sinking the state. We're talking about Michelle Obama. We got a lot to talk about. What are you most excited about? And shout it out in the chat. Also, again, as you all come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and that's what we need. We appreciate the support. All right, let's get into it, ladies. TDS. We've been talking about this for years. It's not new. It's rooted in elite snobbery and fear of populism. And now, and honestly, psychologists can trace it. They've been tracing it back to Trump's 2016 win.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this, Shelley?
Well, finally, I guess there's a diagnosis. And so now the insurance companies can be billed. Okay. So, I mean, they're going to make their money. The insurance is going to make their money. The pharmaceuticals are going to find some Trump drug or anti-Trump drug. But this is so ridiculous. I believe it. I mean, we've been doing it all along, right? We've been saying it. I believe it. I believe it. I meet people almost every day. And I'm talking about clients and people that I go out and they will bring up Trump. No spark by me. They will bring up Trump and, he's the orange man. And I can't stand him. And he gets on my nerve, all kinds of foolishness. And sometimes I have to say, who are you talking about? Because, I mean, where was this conversation? Where did this come from in the middle of a conversation? But nevertheless, we have a diagnosis. I'm guessing it's going to be in the DSM revision. So, hell, there you go. Go get your meds.
Yeah. I mean, remember, Nicole, how celebrities were vowing to leave the country if Trump won? I mean, some of them actually did it. So this is believable, right?
Listen, anxiety and depression all stem from Democrats not learning how to lose. Remember, this is the generation where everybody got a trophy. Everybody was special. Everybody got a passing grade if you just showed up. It's not the same America. So we have a group of adults, young adults, and some older hippies, but I just give the hippies a pass for smoking too much weed. But these young adults have never learned how to properly lose. There's sportsmanship in everything, and including in politics. You lose an election, you shake the winner's hand, you wish them well, volunteer to help them, and you move on to the next cycle. These people are stuck in their own heads. They have this personal thing with Donald Trump. President Trump couldn't give a rat's ass about 99.9% of these weirdos, wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup, but he's got, living in their head and he affects their everyday. That's where the derangement part comes in. I think if it wasn't Trump, if we had another Republican president, it wouldn't be as bad. But because President Trump was already a pop culture figure, I think it's just added insult to their injury.
Yeah. I mean, this is vindication for me. We've been saying this for years. Yeah. The left's not debating policy. They're in therapy over a man who loves America more than they do. It's time for them to get help instead of hurting, hurting people and hurling hate.
Yeah. Agreed. Look, KJ, I know we're going to be talking about Snap, but I'm going to say this right now. Y'all get mad if you want. I don't care. Many of the people that I meet, I bet you dimes to donuts. These are the same TDSers, but they'll take the Snap money. They're going to be even more mad when they're going to have to start showing some proof of why they need it. It's either the wealthy or I'm going to say the poor, if you will, that are pretty much affected by this TDS for the most part. But I can't wait because add the SNAP benefits when they take them, they're going to blame him for everything. Medications, pharmacies, you are going to be making some money.
Listen, I'm telling you now, we're people who make more than $100,000 collectively, which is crazy to me, but probably won't get the at least $2,000 rebate or $2,000 check. I'm feeling like we should go on the internet and make a list of names of people with TDS so they too cannot get said money. Because he's a king and the king doesn't want to give you a gift if you don't want to accept it. Everybody who showed up to the No Kings rally should be disqualified. Everybody who's still talking about January 6th like it happened this past January, none of them should get it. I mean, I've got a laundry list of people who should be just disqualified. Now, I'm happy to take that $2,000 off their hands. No problem, no harm, no foul. You've got my IG right there on front of the screen. Just send it to me. Cash App, Venmo, hell, I'll drive past your house and pick it up. I'm not afraid of your TDS. It's not contagious for me, right? These people are sick in the mind unless Donald Trump is doing something for them personally. And even then, it's a very short-lived I like Trump, but they're back on the TDS train immediately following that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of these SNAP benefits, let's get into it. So our new Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, just dropped a bombshell. Every single SNAP recipient that's food stamps for the for people has to reapply and prove they can't survive without it. Take a look. This is clip 1.
On day one, when I was sworn in, which was earlier this year in February, the very first thing I did was send letters to every single state in America and said, never before has the federal government asked for the data, but it is a new day. President Trump is the president. We know there's a lot of fraud. We need to help partner with you all to figure out how to make sure that this money and these benefits go to those who truly need it and not rife with fraud and corruption. 29 states, mostly the red states, responded with their data sets February, March, April. So the numbers that you're talking through, those are numbers that we have been collecting and analyzing since early summer, late spring. The fact that this spotlight shined on SNAP has allowed us to talk about it. But here's the most unbelievable news I have really just over the last few days, that 5,000 dead people, that was just 1 month. The number is closer to 186,000 deceased men and women and children in this country are receiving a check. Now, that is what we're really going to start clamping down on. 500,000 are getting 2. But here's the really stunning thing. This is just data from those 29 mostly red states. Can you imagine when we get our hands on the blue state data, what we're going to find? It's going to give us a platform and a trajectory to fundamentally rebuild this program, have everyone reapply for their benefit, make sure that everyone that's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through SNAP or food stamps, that they literally are vulnerable and they can't survive without it. And that's the next step here.
Oh, Lord. Oh, they got to reapply. So this Trump era crackdown is exposing massive fraud. Now they got to reapply. Shelly, what are your thoughts on this?
The Scrapping Beauty says they should have to reapply annually. I agree. And during that annual time frame, they need to be looking for work, whatever they're doing to get themselves off of it and even reduce their amount the next year if they have to apply. That's number one. Number two, it was kind of glossed over what she said, not us, but she said something and I'm like, wow, this is the first time that the program has been audited like this. Do you know how long that's been? That means all of our money has been going to almost 1 million dead people and people who don't qualify every year until, well, still now, I guess, but at least until the audit took effect. Do you know that's just one audit? Multiply that by however many years this program has been in effect, not just the SNAP, because it's been called different things over the years, but just multiply that effect. And we have an exponential amount of waste, fraud, and abuse. All states need to apply with this request or demand to show the books. Show the books. Again, not just the states for SNAP. I want all the books open. I want all the books open. And every $2,000 every month, Americans should be getting $2,000 or more back. Not so much a gift. It's our money refunded.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, as they said on, what was it? I think it's Friday. All the hog mogs, all the chitlins, all the Nicole.
The show just started, KJ, and you already cracking up. So
what are your thoughts on this?
Well, listen, Brooke Rollins is an incredible human being. I had an opportunity to be in a few meetings with her at America First Policy Institute. She is very bright. And one of the things that she always talked about was accountability and transparency. So I'm not surprised to see her bringing this to USDA. Scott Turner, the same way, accountability and transparency. I'm not shocked to hear him saying the things he's saying about HUD housing and the cap that's going to be on it. Gone is this generational curse of being supported by the United States government. You know, people are going to have to work for SNAP benefits unless you are gravely ill or have a newborn child, you're going to have to participate in the economy in order to receive your gift from the American people. And even then, RFKJ is going to put some hard new things on here. Gone are the days of buying 42 cases of soda. That's not going to happen anymore. If we're going to feed you, we're going to feed you food that means that you're not going to be a strain on us through healthcare, meaning childhood diabetes and all these other things that we're seeing little kids with high blood pressure. I mean, 11-year-olds with high blood pressure, with chronic illness that's going to follow them for the rest of their lives. So the system that we had wasn't doing us any good. The new system that we're building is going to require people to recertify. So we're going to save a ton of money. And Shelley is right. It's not a gift when the government gives us back our money. It's our money.
Yeah.
And we want it back. I have a huge heart for people. I volunteer a lot of my time. I donate a lot of my money to help people who are less fortunate than me. But when you take a look at people who are getting not one, but 2 SNAP benefits for one household, and that household's not even eligible, and that's in a mostly red state, imagine what happens when they get Maryland's numbers.
Ooh. Yeah.
Imagine what happens when they get California's numbers. We're going to save a ton of money, and that money should be going into programs to help the taxpayer get their money back. I don't want to see a SNAP 2.0, any of that kind of foolishness. Help the people who truly need it and push forward.
Well, we know under Biden and Harris, SNAP exploded. I mean, with no strings attached. They were giving it to everybody. Even, they've been recorded data that they were giving it to dogs and cats who were hungry and may not have had a place to live. They said, you get a SNAP benefit and you get a SNAP benefit. Everybody but the rats, okay? So, I mean, seriously, it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. Prove your need or get a job, okay? It's just that simple. Folks in the chat, sound off.
Sound off. Exactly.
Yeah,
KJ, you didn't say it right.
Go ahead.
You said they gave it to everybody. They gave it to Lottie, Dottie, everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. Is this reapplication a genius fraud buster, or do you feel like it's mean-spirited? Hit the comments. Would you rather fund deadbeats or your own family?
All right, we got a super chat. Got a super chat here. Simply Asha B for your hi. Thank you for your $20 super chat. Showing some love, ladies, and we take it and we give it right back to you. Thank you so much. We got a lot of comments coming in. Keep them coming, everybody. Look, I want to quote. I hope I'm quoting it correctly. It's been attributed to Thomas Sowell. He says, why is it not greed to take money from people and give it to whoever you want, but it's greed to want to keep your own money? So I'll probably paraphrase it. It's so twisted. It's greed if I want to keep my own money or I want my own back. I'm greedy, or you're selfish. What I don't give a darn what you want to go. I'm gonna be like Westmore, IDGAF. Call me what you want. I'm trying to stop cursing, y'all, okay? But nevertheless, it might come up in appropriate times and moments. But it's not greed to keep your own money, to want to keep your own money.
Listen, you work for it. You should be able to keep what you earn. I mean, that's the benefit of having a smaller government and a working populace. You see these women on Instagram and on X talking about, well, I don't want to work. I want to stay home with my children. Listen, I feel you. This is not going to be a woman war between us. We're not going to say, you have to work. But if you choose to stay home, you're going to have to figure out how to feed your children. It's a personal choice. This is what we call an executive decision. You are the CEO of your own life. You are absolutely the final decision maker. And if you choose to stay home with your children, wise choice for you and your children. But you also have to figure out the foundational part. Who's going to house you? Who's going to clothe you? Who's going to feed you? Who's going to provide medical care? Because when you choose not to work, you opt out of all of those things. And as a working mother, I should not have to leave my kid at home and work double as hard to make sure I can take care of my family and yours. That's not fair to me.
Yeah. Folks, again, sound off in the chat. It looks like we have some more super chatters here.
Kung Fu.
CJ.
Kung Fu, thank you for your $5 super chat, and you are a member of our Freedom Club. So Kung Fu's in the house. Let's get them super chats up. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Kung Fu. I want to shout out quickly to a few, not all of you. Don't come after me. I'm just going to say a few of our mods. We had the Scrapping Beauty, the S Files on here, Kung Fu, of course. I saw LBG, Jay. Thank you all. I'll get to you. I'll mention you throughout the show.
And Mackenzie. Don't forget
Mackenzie. Yep.
And Mackenzie and LJ 89040. You all got some clever names.
Also, want to give a special shout out to Chaotic Truth. Chaotic Truth is in the chat tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's good to see you, CT.
I didn't see him in there. Okay, cool.
And he actually has a question. He says, KJ, what are your thoughts on the Palestinians being turned away from South Africa? Mm-hmm. Okay, I heard a little bit about this. Apparently, there was some charter plane that flew into South Africa with around 200 Palestinians on it, but they didn't have any papers or anything. And so apparently South Africa, I guess, initially turned them away or said they couldn't come in. Did you guys hear about that?
Yes.
I actually did not, but go ahead, Nicole.
I thought it was incredibly interesting, considering that our particular border has been so porous. Here is a nation that's having its own issues, its own cultural issues, who took a look at the Palestinians and said, no, thank you. You can take your radical Islam, your Hezbollah, your Hamas, and you can go right back to where you came from. Pick a Muslim nation.
I was going to say, why'd they go there? Why can't they go to all the Arab nations that are around?
They don't let them in either.
Exactly, because they won't assimilate. Right. They will not assimilate. They absolutely will not assimilate, which reminds me, and I know this is off topic, but I saw something on IG where they were saying that they're going to have a march in Dearborn to show the Islamists who have taken over that government that this is the United States. This is not Syria. This is not Somalia, and that they need to follow American law. So, eyes on that. I don't know what the dates or anything of that is, but it would be very interesting to see if Detroit shows up.
Wow. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I mean, to get back to the South African thing, this is where the ANC was, right? Remember? Okay. And they were the ones that were apparently taking all of the white Afrikaners' homes and redistributing them. So I mean, and then now these Palestinians show up and they're like, wait a minute, hold up. We got to wait and we got to vet these people. And I think they eventually allowed them in, or at least some of them in. Okay. But again, they're saying the same thing. We can't have our open borders, even though you got sob stories and things like that, we can't have it. And this just makes sense, folks. Most people, most sovereign countries don't want the chaos. They do not. And this is a chaotic group of people. Okay. So, I'm for it. I'm for people to have a sovereign country. If they felt like they couldn't come in, if they weren't properly documented, send them on back wherever they came from.
Exactly. I think we should be more like Poland. Poland says, you sneak into my nation, I'll put a bullet in your brain. Yeah. You do not sneak into Poland. Poland does not have that to do. And so they don't have this radical Islamic problem that you see, Ireland and the UK battling with every single day with, women and children and now men being assaulted. They don't have that in Poland. Poland, you can walk down the street and have a nice existence. You don't have to worry about your personal safety. So I think, we have to find a happy medium worldwide. I get it. They didn't want to stay in their nations because of war, this, that, and the other thing, but it's time to make your own nation great. Pack your stuff and go back home. Build your own nation.
The thing about this also is these leftists in South Africa, they've been talking a big game on Palestine. But when a plane shows up full of Palestinians, they're saying, not in my backyard, you got to go.
It sounds like the Democrats here when they shipped them from Texas to Martha's Vineyard, they got rid of them very quickly. Sounds like that here. I think the producers are saying we have a few more supers here. Let me call them out. We have 3 = 1. Thank you for your $10 super chat and for being a member of our Freedom Club. 3 Equals says, as a licensed professional counselor, I regularly guide clients to use logic to bring reality to TDS thinking that fuels depressions and anxiety. Thank you, 3 Equals. Well, you're going to be getting a whole lot of more business. So, you know, you should be good. You shouldn't have to apply for SNAP benefits. The scrapping booty for your $20 super chat. Thank you. If you don't have a JOB, you don't EAT. There used to be a song, you got to have a JOB if you want to be with me. Now it's just like, hey, sign up for SNAP, and I want to be a sob story and you owe me. So whatever, but thank you, the scrapping booty. Kung Fu is back. Kung Fu CJ. For your $2 super chat, thank you. He says, hello, thumbs up, Pat family. We thank you.
Hey, Kung Fu CJ. All right, folks. So keep it coming. Thank you all so much. This is our Friday night live, our last live for the week, not until Monday, when we will be back on Monday. So we appreciate all of you guys' support and hanging out with us on this Friday night. Absolutely. All right. So gotta get back into this next part here. So talking about fraud and things like this, we got to talk about these Democrat strongholds like Maryland. Okay. So right here in Maryland, they've been talking about, they've been talking about this $1.4 billion deficit. So even after raising taxes by $1.6 billion this year, Governor Westmore, remember him, he's the governor of Maryland. He's also has national goals in mind, maybe possibly running for president. He's been too busy playing presidential politics and plotting to redraw congressional maps instead of balancing the budget. This is what happens when one-party rule replaces accountability and fiscal discipline. Well, one Marylander is pissed about it all. Tory Snow. He is or was a correspondent for the local station here, WBAL, and he's got a lot to say. Take a look. This is clip 3.
A redistricting commission, despite the fact that the president of Maryland's Senate, who's a Democrat, opposes doing that in the mid-decade. And the Washington Post had a critical assessment of that. They're saying Governor Moore is trying to pretend that he's principled. He claims his goal is to make sure Maryland has fair and representative maps and ensure that people are heard. But make no mistake, according to the Washington Post, what the governor really wants to do is disenfranchise his Republican constituents. How do you respond to that, sir?
I can respond to the Washington Post with 5 letters, IDGAF. But I can tell you this, when I'm thinking about what it means to have fair maps inside of the state of Maryland and knowing that our people's voices should be heard, that is actually the reason that I put together a bipartisan redistricting commission.
Okay. He doesn't give a, well, anyway, I don't want to get in trouble. Lest you believe that he's simply making a rhetorical point trying to be cute, he really doesn't. This redistricting commission, I don't know if you guys know this. I didn't know this. They had their first meeting on Tuesday. And I found out about it after it happened. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What happened at this meeting? So you can go to the website. So there's actually a website. You can go check it out yourself, redistricting.maryland.gov. And so I decided to go and see, okay, well, when was it advertised? When was the meeting supposed to take place? So I come down here. Oh, look, there it is. Tuesday, November the 11th. That was their first meeting. Well, let's find out what they did at this meeting. So you click on the link here. Oh, look, you can watch the meeting on Zoom. Oh, forbidden. You don't have access to this video. You can't even watch the video. Maybe it's on YouTube. Nope, not on YouTube. Well, maybe we can find information about this on their X account because the actual website does actually list. Let's go back here just a bit. And, oh, look, there's an X account. Let's see what they have on X here. It does. Oh, look, there's a redistricting commission. Hasn't been updated since April of 2022. They had this meeting and didn't tell anyone about it. But do not worry. It's still up there. You can still see it. The next meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. So they had the meeting on Tuesday, announced a public information session for Friday the 14th. The registration for public testimony for the 11/14 meeting is now full. Now, that was up there yesterday. So they had the meeting. It immediately filled up. but maybe we can go and watch the meeting. You can still sign up and be part of the meeting, but you won't be able to testify because it's now full. When the governor says he doesn't give a blank, he really means it. Like, this is literally smoke and mirrors. So I do think there are some action items. You need to write your senators, your state senators, your state delegates, and ask them to get some more clarity about this process, because they're just going to rush this through. We can't even watch the meeting on there. They're literally doing all this under cloak and dagger.
All right. So, Nicole, I mean, this is a mess.
Well, it's a mess, just like the governor. It is. If there is one thing that's going to mark his governorship for the state of Maryland, we would think that it would be the raising of taxes and fees. That's probably a good thing. Then we would probably think it would be the squandering of billions of dollars with nothing to show for it. That might be a thing. But redistricting, when it's not time to redistrict, in a quote unquote bipartisan commission that has one Republican, and I mean Republican with a very small r, from upstate in Cumberland. Cumberland, Maryland has a population of 18,000 people. So this is someone who's clearly outside of his depth. You know, he lives in a very red part of the state. He's up against, porn stash Brian Frost, who used to be our top wig Democrat here. Attorney General. And Angela also Brooks, who's the quote unquote chairman, the senator, is the quote unquote chairman of this commission. If we want to talk kangaroo court, this is what this is. Tory made some valid points. When Westmore says that he doesn't give a F, he really means it. He is the darling of the Democrat Party. He's shiny, he's black, he's got a wife, and a high ass. Well, I don't know if the high ass makes him pro-Democrat or not, but his butt is pretty high up. He must do a lot of squats. Let's say that. But this man,
that doesn't cause a high booty.
Squats does cause a high booty. That's how you get your booty to lift. You get the high booty from
you though. Something else can get that booty high like that.
You know what? I'm not going there with you guys on a Friday night. We're not doing it. We're not going to do that on a Friday. But so Westmore has this idea in his head that Maryland can run itself. True enough, our state legislature has really gutted our governor, that they don't really have as much power as governors in other states. So the state legislature kind of runs the state. And they did that because of Larry Hogan, a Republican governor, who some claim is being Democrat light as well, maybe a blue dog Democrat dressed up as a Republican. But he's chasing 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Whether he's vice president, president, secretary of state, he wants to be a part of the national news. So that's where he spends his time. And much like Jasmine Crockett, he thinks the fouler his language, the more Democrats are going to see him as one of those people who are fighting or striking a blow. It just sounds crass from people who we expect very good demeanor from. I think on the large scale, the Marylanders are not happy about this redistricting. One, because it's going to cost us a ton of damn money. Because I can tell you now, MDGOP is going to slap them with lawsuits every single point. And let's say how popular it is. This meeting was broadcast on YouTube today. It had 276 views in 5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, instead of solving local problems, he's chasing headlines and flirting with redistricting to eliminate the state's only Republican congressman. We only got one. It makes no sense, Shelley. Well,
yeah. No, it makes sense if you think that, if you know what the Democrats like to do, they want full control and power. That's number one. Number two, I encourage all Marylanders to write your governor, your legislatures, senators, and delegates, and ask them, why does the Maryland Open Meetings Act, why is it not applied to this? Because this commission and the meetings they're having, by my read of the Maryland Open Meetings Act, is against the law. It's going against the law. The short notice, the not updating the site with the minutes, you can't get into the links or whatever. They are violating the law, the governor, and they're doing it again, like Tori said, under cloak and dagger, so to speak. So I'm going to be writing a letter and asking them that question. I want the Maryland Opens Act to be applied. That's number one. Number three, or whatever, Bill Ferguson, the president of the Senate here in Maryland, is against this, right? And so he's been going on the radio basically saying, you know what? We better be careful about this because the governor may be thinking one thing with this fake bipartisan commission, but when it goes to court, we might get it the other way. They might say we don't even have enough Republican districts. So therefore, we could lose another Democrat district, and maybe it'll be 6-2 or 5-3. Who knows? So you better be careful what they're wishing to do. They think they're going to do. It may not go in their favor. This is a scam. This is Governor Moore, high booty. This is him reacting to Governor Gavin Newsom, and this emotional workup that Trump is not going to come in and do all this again. TDS. I want to say TDS, but I'm trying to stop cursing. That's twice already. Okay, but that's what he is. Trump deranged Governor Moore. So this is all about Trump, and it's going. I hope, I pray, I predict it's going to backfire.
Well, look at what we're talking about. And not only are we talking about this redistricting, but we're talking about this $1.4 billion deficit, despite $1.6 billion in new taxes. So Maryland lawmakers already raised taxes earlier this year, and they still managed to blow $1 billion plus hole in the budget. So that proves the problem isn't revenue, it's reckless spending and failed priorities.
Absolutely. And it's going to get even worse because magically he found money to give special privileges to furloughed federal workers, who, by the way, are getting every dime of back pay. So this shutdown was a boon. It was actually a financial windfall for people who said, well, I'm going to get my paycheck anyway. I'm going to take this zero interest loan that I may or may not have to pay back. I'm going to take advantage of all of these programs to carry us through these 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever it's going to be, and then collect your back pay. Who's paying the state back?
Nobody.
Who's paying the state back? But so here's the thing. At some point, and I'm not, one to lead certain charges, maybe, but at some point, Marylanders are going to have had enough. This is what happened before. Every time we see a Republican governor sweep into office, it is because the Democrats have overplayed their hand. You take a look at when, by my estimation, one of Maryland's finest Republican governors, Governor Bob Ehrlich, swept into power. He kicked Kathleen Kennedy Townsend's teeth in. You hear me? He came in office. He took that deficit, flipped it on its head. He made everybody in Maryland, like the economy was booming for the first time in almost 50 years. Wow. Maryland was growing with young people and young families. You turn around and you look at what's happened since, we had Paris Glendening. Let's not even talk about Uncle Paris, who put his arms, in your pockets up to the elbow. All of these Democrats who think they can tax their way out of situations instead of saying, listen, do we really need 15 programs to solve one problem? And have you ever heard a Maryland legislator say, let's not pass any new legislation. Let's take some of this old legislation off the books.
Wow.
There are parts of this state where you have to have your car inspected for emissions, and the neighboring county doesn't have to have their car inspected for emissions. There's just so much craziness going on here that can be handled if the legislature would really think about their constituents instead of thinking about their political parties. And I'm going to stand on that. Westmore has got to go. I don't care who runs against him. He's got to get out of here because at this point, even people who make a healthy wage can't afford to live here.
Well, let's head to the Windy City, where even their own are turning on each other over the budget blunders. Have you guys been following this story? So in Chicago's actually facing a massive $1.1 billion deficit. And Mayor Brandon Johnson's fix is a corporate head tax that even fellow Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker is calling a job killer, and came out and said, man, we can't do this. He flat out opposed it, saying it penalizes employment and so forth. So again, Johnson's progressive pipe dreams are clashing with reality, pushing businesses out and property taxes up.
Yep. Yeah, look, KJ, in all of these predominantly blue cities and states, they don't know a tax that they want to get rid of. They don't know. All they see is taxpayers, and they see green, but it's somebody else's, right? We get the short end of the stick. Nicole, I wanted to follow up when you said, about the families under Bob Ehrlich. Well, guess what? 300,000 plus a net loss have left Maryland over the last 3 years, I think it is, right? The comptroller's report, not to mention it was something else I wrote down here. I'm sorry. There was a 300,000 net loss of residents. So that's taxpayer dollars. Housing costs compared to New Jersey and I think it was Delaware, other places, some other counties. Maryland, the fees to start or to buy a new home, just the fees themselves are like 5 and 6 times more. Okay. Yeah. The fee to file the paperwork, to do all the whatever, the mortgage, all that stuff. So we are really pricing out people, largely middle-class families that will come in, pay taxes, particularly if you have good schools, but they're being priced out to Delaware, even New Jersey in some cases, Pennsylvania. So this governor, and keep in mind, we have a 1.6 budget deficit this fiscal year or the next fiscal year. That's not including the $6.6 billion that he lost at the beginning when he came in. So if you add that up cumulatively, it's almost $10 billion, or it will be just about $10 billion or slightly more by the time the election starts, the next gubernatorial election.
Of course. And then we have even more coming when you think about the blueprint, Maryland's education plan. That's going to get more and more expensive for every single county every single year, where you have starting teachers coming in the door making $90,000 a year, but most schools only making fair to middling grades when it comes to statewide competency exams. So we have to figure out, how do we increase the level of education, the robustness of education, the rigorousness of training our children, and paying teachers a fair wage, and our budgetary shortfalls. This is going to be a very tough situation, and we cannot tax and spend our way out of it, because the people who are leaving Maryland are not simply seniors. Seniors can't afford to leave. Who's leaving? Tax-paying young families and our millionaire class. Right. So what happens when all the millionaires go to Virginia? What happens when the working younger people move to Virginia? Who do you think they're going to tax next? Because they're not going to stop taxing. They don't know how to. Tax and spend is what they do. So this is a cautionary tale that Maryland is learning the hard way. And it happens kind of like a cycle. We get a really underperforming Democrat governor, and Westmore had no business being governor. He does not have executive leadership. This man fell into this trap because of some foolishness that happened with the DNC putting on commercials for a lesser Republican candidate, but neither here nor there. He is duly elected, and he is showing us that he does not have the sense God gave a goose when it comes to fiscal responsibility. He just doesn't.
Well, listen, we're talking about Maryland. We're talking about Illinois, California, all of these places. This is the Democrat playbook. Tax and spend, tax and spend. So why are they doing it? Well, we know why. Because as they claim taxing the rich and spending on the poor is compassion, it's really about centralizing power. It's about power, all of it. And as I've said time and time again, it's rooted in Marxist ideology. They are teaching the redistribution of wealth, taking from producers and giving to workers. The bourgeoisie, are sort of the producers, and the proletariat are the workers. And this is what they do. This is always where they end up. Tax, 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 spend, spend, spend. And as Karl Marx actually said, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs.
Yes.
Folks, this is why we got these people in the chat. You got some nutty trolls talking about, oh, you love Trump. You guys love Trump. No, we love freedom. And we know that this Democrat tax and spend policy, and this is where all of them end up, that's not freedom. It's forced equality, which is anti-biblical, actually, and it's anti-American. So
and it still doesn't work. And it doesn't work.
And it doesn't work. Exactly. So folks, as you all come in, please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. If you are here, if you're a God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving person, and you value freedom, you're in the right place. You found your community. You found your tribe. Subscribe with us. All right.
AJ, wait a minute, real quick. LJ 89040 said they called us 3 DEI, and she jumped on them, or he jumped on them. You know what my new acronym is for DEI, right? Mm-hmm. That's right. Tell them, yes, we are DEI. We are for our own damn economic interests. Yes,
absolutely.
We are. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Well, I guess I'm sort of maybe saying it incorrectly. I don't know. But speaking of DEI, we got to go to Michelle Obama. Whoo, this thing got me hot, y'all. This got me hot. Michelle Obama is on a victim tour. Once again, she's on a victim tour. And it's not for inspiration, but for the Victim Olympics this woman is on, claiming whites are trapping Black folks in harmful hair standards that mess with their work game. Take a look here. This is clip 4.
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim. And we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting, and it's so expensive, and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't. It just.
So this woman is so annoying. We don't see other first ladies doing this. We really don't. She has been on, it has been her goal to go across the country and whine and bitch and complain over and over again and again as she and her husband now have more money now than they did when they first went into politics. Okay. She has enriched herself, and she goes on here, complain. If it's not, how she looked, how now she couldn't find anything else. Now she's talking about Black hair. Shelley, I got a lot to say, but let me just say this before you. First of all, she's talking to Tracy Ellis Ross.
That part.
And Tracy Ellis Ross is snapping her fingers and stuff. She is mixed, number one. And her hair is soft and curly. She posts herself in the pool all the time. She lives in California, and she's smacking. What is she slapping about? She doesn't have coarse hair. What do you ladies think?
Okay, Michelle, I can't remember who said, I think it was Samantha, with her straight hair up there on the stage. Number one. Number two, do you know how, what is it called? The lowest common denominator. This is all they can talk about for Black women and Black people. And Michelle has not done her own hair probably since she got into the White House, maybe even before that. Michelle has not done her own hair. And she said something about what we're doing it for you. No, I'm not. I don't do my hair for white people. I don't care what white people think about my hair. I don't care. I don't know. I don't know. Do you care, Nicole, KJ? Well, white, I don't do my hair in the morning. I mean, to get up, I'm going to do this.
Oh, she's frozen.
Oh, she's frozen. Frozen mid-rant. Listen, I agree with Shelley 100%. Being involved in Republican politics, there aren't many Black women in leadership, right? So you are hypersensitive about the clothes that you wear. You're hypersensitive about your makeup. But one thing you're not hypersensitive about is your hair, because people don't give a shit. And they don't give a shit in a big kind of way. I have never encountered someone who says, that Nicole Bennett, damn it, if she wears her hair curly one more time, we're going to snatch the gavel from her. That never happens. Of all the things that this former first lady could work on, Black maternal and fetal health, young Black people smoking, because that's a new trend, right? Let's talk about all the things that are impacting our community. Instead of using her platform for that, she's trying to make excuses for the tracks that she's got sewn in to the cornrows on top of her head. Nobody gives a shit. And I mean that in a big kind of way. I know probably close to 100,000 white folks, and I guarantee you 100% of them don't give a damn what Michelle Obama's hair looks like. I know even more Black folk than that, and they don't give a shit what her hair looks like. It's not what your hair looks like. It's what's inside your head that counts, the content of your character. You guys always claim your affinity for Martin Luther King. Go back and read his speeches. Not one time does he talk about Black women's hair. Not one time. The content of your character. If she could use her platform to uplift instead of acting like an international Eeyore, we would be in such a better position as Black women on a political stage. But instead, now she's made our hair an issue.
And let me tell you this. This is what I was arguing with someone online about this earlier today. Michelle Obama has been in the limelight for the last 10 years or so. Okay. She has a huge platform. She was not only in politics, but she's an uber celebrity. I mean, she's in Hollywood. She's in the culture. She's friends with Beyonce. So if anyone could change the culture, as she says, to make it more amiable to people with kinky hair, natural hair, it's her. So instead of her whining about this, why doesn't she get with her other Black friends who have are popular, who have a lot of influence, and they start wearing their natural hair? That is how you change the culture. You do it. Same as India Arie. India Arie was one of the original ones that was always talking about natural hair, not all of this weave and all of this stuff. What's her name? Who's married to Swiss Beats?
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. She went on this campaign of no makeup. And she was going out on the red carpets and stuff, wearing no makeup, trying to champion women being natural. They're the movers and shakers. They can change this culture. But instead of doing that, she whines and says, oh, I have to wear a weave and I have to straighten my hair because white people want me to do it. It's this victim mentality over and over again. And unfortunately, our community falls for it. They fall for it.
Every time. I don't understand why Michelle Obama, along the lines of what you're saying, KJ, I don't understand why Michelle Obama, the first Black, first lady, right? Why is she still, I'm saying still, she's so, I don't know, mentally warped in a way. Why does she still care about what white people think about her?
She doesn't care.
No, I think she wants to be white. I do. I think somewhere deep down inside, I think she is, I don't know if it's jealousy, envy. I think she has this warped thinking and she gets all of her cues from what she thinks white people think about her. So therefore, she's trying to live up to some ideal that she has in her head. This woman is 60 something years old.
Shelley, it's not, no. I don't agree with that at all. She is grifting. She is grifting.
Maybe that's
she does not care about what white people think about her. She does not. But she knows that the Black community in general care about what white people think about them.
Okay.
And they love to continue to push this victimhood. It works. For some reason it works. She knows it works. And the Democrat Party don't have any solutions to real problems that plague our communities. So they go back to the race bait, go back to the division, go back to the victimhood.
Why can't she can do well? Like you said, all the people you named they would do well to use that stage to teach those people in the audience how to start a business or how to write a book, whatever the case may be, how to open up a damn beauty shop, whatever the case may be, right? And then Michelle and Tracy Ellis could be you.
Yep, she's first again. Yep. You know, Chris Rock and his former wife, wrote a book called Good Hair. Right? Because, you know, I think his wife is of African descent. And so their daughter has a coarser texture of hair. But when you look globally, right, the northern part of Africa, the eastern part of Africa, people have straighter hair. So not everybody has kinky, curly hair. Listen, both of my parents were Black, and my hair does all kind of fantastic things based on what I want to do with my hair. The thing with Michelle Obama saying this is the reason why Black people don't swim. Black people swim. Black people swim. Terrible. Her children swim. She swims. Her husband swims. So this is her pandering to that group of Black people that did not vote for Kamala.
Right.
Did not vote for Kamala. When you package this with Stephanie Miller on bended knee licking the toes of Jasmine Crockett just a few days ago, it's showing you the shift that's happening in this party. Because again, remember, I keep reminding you that they did not vote any Black women in power to head the DNC. They did not. For the first time in a very long time, they did not. There's something going on there, and her and Barack are not going to have that. Yeah. They're not. So they're going to have to sister girl up somewhere, because for them, Black women are a very powerful voting bloc. So how do you make Black women feel like this time we really got to show up and show off? What do you mean white people don't like my hair? What do you mean?
If anything, we get compliments.
Listen, Lady Sings the Blues. Have you ever seen this movie? Diana Ross's face fills up the frame with this big curly afro and gigantic hoop earrings and lashes that would make Jasmine Crockett look bald. I mean, she looked absolutely amazing.
Pam Grier, Foxy Brown.
Absolutely. People have done all different types of hair. And some people have, you know, the ability to go from curly hair one day straight to the next, braids, whatever you're going to do. But again, nobody else's business how you present yourself to the world. As long as you're clean and appropriately dressed for your situation, what difference does it make? What difference
and this woman,
does it make?
And she's an outright racist, y'all. She's too intelligent to not know this. First of all, Black people are not the only ones with kinky hair. Okay, you meet up with a hard 100% Italian woman.
Wait a minute, a Jewish person. Let's do that.
Jewish person, yeah. But I know a lot of Italian ladies who I'm looking. This young Italian boy, he had a bush all the way out here, and I was talking to his mom. I was like, "Wow, how do you do his hair?" I mean, his hair was tightly coiled. Okay, what did she say to them? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's constant racial division. It's 2025. We're still doing this.
That's why I say she's been like this since she came on the scene. That's why I say she is a racist. That's why I think these are her projections. Someone said projections. That's why I say that. I agree with you. There's a grift, but I do think she's projecting what she thinks white people think of her.
And it's shameful. Also, it's shameful because the way she talks about it in such a negative way. Okay, you know, the hair is beautiful. It is beautiful if it's well kept and well maintained. All right. Now, let me say this. Okay, any hairstyle, whether your hair is tightly coiled, whether it's straight, if it's not upkept, if it's not kept well, it's going to look a mess. All right. Yep. It's going to look a mess. But if it's kept well and you do it well, it looks beautiful. Okay. And stop being lazy. Stop being lazy. Do your own hair. Do your hair. You know, if you really want to, I'm sick of seeing all these, these purple, pink, and blue wigs on these people and all this type of stuff. It looks ridiculous. It really does. And she looked a mess too. She just makes me sick. I'm so sick of her. I really am.
I
wish
agree.
she would just go away.
Yeah.
Listen,
away.
Well, let's go to our
somebody
super, hold on, Nicole. Let's go to our supers real quick. We have a super chat. It is, all right, I can't pronounce this. I'm sorry. Naru Sasu 813. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Says Swalwell. I'm thinking you mean Swalwell. Swalwell and Hobbs under investigation. Massey and Paul are corrupt snakes. Exposure everywhere. All right. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank
you.
you.
It is getting interesting. It is definitely getting interesting. But I will tell you, as somebody who wakes up like Shaka Khan each and every morning,
I love her.
Each and every morning. We were just in Philly. I'm telling you, I had the bonnet on and still woke up big. The things I have to do to corral my hair, sometimes I just don't do. Sometimes I just spray some spray on it and it is what it is. And sometimes I get out my time-o and I make it straight. But it is not because of the demands of society. It's personal preference. You know, how the time I have to do it, the way I want to look, the way I want to present myself to the world. What she's doing is dehumanizing Black women and saying the reasons why we don't do these following things is because white people, you know, the boogeyman is making us do it. That's not the case at all. That is not at all the case. And she's really making it harder for us than it has to be. I really wish she would find something concrete to work on, to use her celebrity for, to impact the world. But my goodness.
Give this monkey. Give this tall woman something to do. Okay, somebody find her something to do, something to work on, please. I mean, she gets on my nerves, and you got people, like I said, this people taking up for her, falling for this crap. You know, the lady I was arguing with online, she said, "Oh, Black women have had it tough in the corporate spaces. You know, we've had it tough, hard. We couldn't wear our natural hair. Well, did your natural hair look a mess? Because listen, mess is not going to be accepted anyway. Straight, kinky, whatever. If it looks a mess, it's not going to be accepted. Now, I am not talking about in the 50s and 60s. Yes, because that had something to do with racism. We're not talking about racism. We're talking about mess, okay? And yes, I have worked in corporate America with forward-facing with clients where my presentation was paramount to many things within my job. And I carried myself and looked nice. I have dreadlocks. Shelly has dreadlocks. You know, or what we call locks.
We get compliments every day.
Every day. My hair is very thick. My hair has been thick and long for all of my life generally. And, you know, it's easier to maintain. I will be honest. It is easier to maintain since I locked my hair. Okay. Yes. When I had loose hair, it was very thick. It was tough to manage, but I'm not going around complaining about it.
No, right. No, I can play. Look, okay, look. I always tell you, I think I get more compliments the closer it is to me to get my hair, you know, done again, right? And I think it looks a mess. I get the most compliments then, and I'm like, what the hell are you looking at? Because I'm looking at something totally different. But this is just the low hanging fruit. They had nothing to offer, nothing to bring, I guess, to sort of elevation or some creativity for the Black community that they claim to represent. This is ridiculous. This is all she does.
Yeah. Don't fall for it, folks. Don't fall for it. And sound off in the chat and let us know what you all think. Is Michelle's hair rant empowering or just more racial division? Let us know. And why do elites like her play victim when they've got it all? Why do they do it?
First of all, nobody's wandering up to a first lady of the United States saying, you know, your hair is a whole shame. Nobody's doing that. There's none of that that's happening. The problem that the Democrats are facing is that they don't have any kind of anchor ideas. There's not one solid policy. They don't even have a solid leader. I mean, if you take a look at where they are politically, you know, Zoran is technically their leader.
Wow.
Closely followed by AOC. And that spells trouble for rank and file Democrats who don't have a kindredness with them. So what do? You rally your Black base, and most of their Black base is Black women. What do Black women love? Hair, makeup is what we do. In education, because you can have a PhD, and if you think dreadlocks is going to stop you from getting a job based on your PhD and your dreadlocks, there's something wrong with you. There's absolutely something wrong with you. She's playing into their base fears and hoping to get them emotional again about where they are. The truth of the matter is, America, everybody is waiting to make more money. Everybody is waiting to stop living check to check. Everyone is waiting for these cultural changes to happen. Nobody's talking about hair, Michelle. I mean, Chris Rock did this in the 90s? You way late, sis. You way late.
Oh my gosh. All right, folks. Again, as you all come in, hit that like button. Hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. What are you waiting for? Also, have you all seen our merch? We have fantastic sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, stickers. Go to our YouTube page, tab over to store, and you will see everything there. You can shop. Our favorite slogan right now is unapologetically American. That is it right there. Unapologetically American. You can get that, and you can make a statement wherever you go. Wear it over the holidays, and you can really rile up your TDS relative and see what they do, see if their head pops off. All right. So yes, do that. Also, check out the other shows on the Metro Conservative Media platform right here. We have the All American Talk Show. They are live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can check out their live show from this week. Also, we have Tuesdays, then Thursdays and Sundays. It's Christian Conservative. That's me at KJ Christian Conservative. We did a great reaction video to Allie B. Stuckey's takedown of Candace Owens last night. Go back and watch that, but we'll be back on Sunday. And then on Saturday, you can watch Just the Guys. Go over there, or they're on live at 6:30. They won't be on this Saturday, but you can definitely check out the channel and go through some of their all of their material in there. Great channel, great programs from a male's perspective. So definitely check it all out. All right. Final topic of the night, and this is more of a philosophical topic, and want you guys in the chat to chime in with us on your perspective or your answer to this question. Does truth and morality change with culture? Does it change? What are your thoughts on this, Nicole?
Truth doesn't change. Truth is truth. Morality changes with the culture. It sways like a pendulum based on what I call the needs and wants of the people who are affected, right? So culture for most people is hard to define. But generally speaking, it is the things that people do or say, the needs and wants that they have to positively or negatively affect their particular situation, right? So when we think about culture now, as opposed to even 10 years ago, things are very different. Things are very different in a good kind of way, because maybe even 4 years ago, there were people with pronouns. You sent a professional email to someone, and at the bottom of your emails, my pronouns are she, her, blah, 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 right? Look at it today. Very rarely get any kind of pronouns on an email. And when you do, it's from some lunatic leftist, and you're not even reading the email. It's probably some kind of virus. Culture changes, and so that part of our mores change with it. But truth doesn't change. Truth is truth. Whether we accept it or not, basically up to people, but truth is truth. Here's a truth that's becoming more and more universally believed. Radical Islamists do not belong in Western society. That's absolute truth. We are not the same. We don't believe in the same things. We cannot live peaceably together. That's absolute truth. They say it, we say it, and history proves it out, right? But then you have people like here, in the UK, who are saying, oh, no, we have to be tolerant. We have to be open. And that tolerance and openness is costing them their entire culture. That is truth, that they refuse to accept. So truth doesn't change. Culture changes morality a bit. Abortion, another topic.
All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts? Do you believe truth and morality change with culture?
Nicole took the first statement out. Truth doesn't, morality can change, right? And it often does. The one thing I will add to what Nicole is saying is that truth doesn't change. What tends to happen is that maybe more truth is revealed. And let me give you, by that I mean things that we may have known, or let's say that, I don't know how do I wrote it down some kind of way, but things we may have known, whatever X is, we may have known it 50 years ago. And it was true. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that X was not true. X was true. Whatever X is, it was true. Well, 50 years later, we might have more information about X, right? Which helps to expand whatever that truth was. Not saying that it was wrong or that it changed. We can add to the body of that truth to have a better picture of whatever X may be. That's what I'll say about that. Morality can change. Often it does. A lot of times it changes for the worst, I think. From a cultural perspective, it changes for the worst. And another point that I have written down, I think sometimes morality, what's moral and what's legal are not always the same, for good or for bad. So, and I think a lot of times we intertwine all of these things, but they're not necessarily the same in a society. Truth, I mean, morality. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with you both. I disagree, and the reason I disagree is, so I look at it as, what's your foundation of truth and morality? So for me, it's biblical truth. Okay. And so with that, I believe that truth and morality don't change with culture. They come from God, and God doesn't change. So to me, whether we're in a shifting world or not, biblical truth is the anchor. And so with that being the foundation, morality and truth come from that, and it doesn't change. It shouldn't change, I should say.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
That's a whole different thing, right? And I actually wrote it down. I actually wrote it down, that truth and morality, truth doesn't change, and it shouldn't change. Morality can change, like I said, for good or for bad. I'm not saying that it absolutely must, or that's like I'm prescribing it. I'm saying as a function of a society, and just being if you want to call it observer, it often does change for good or bad.
I mean, but I think it changes because many. And again, just coming from a biblical point of view, we're not rooted in biblical truth. So if you're talking about absolutes, it doesn't change. If you're talking about how the Bible is the truth, then morality and truth should not change. But
I agree. The Bible, if you're talking about the Bible, the Bible doesn't change. You're right.
So when we talk about morality, like when we talk about morality, morality is based on your cultural norms. What the society says is appropriate in a situation. So, for example, biblically, adulterers are supposed to be stoned to death, right? That's biblical law. That's Leviticus law. That if you're someone who's an adulterer, you should be stoned.
Well, that's the Old Testament.
Still Leviticus, right? Still in the Bible. You pass to today where we celebrate side chicks. Side chicks are universally celebrated. And it's not because the truth of the matter has changed. It is still wrong. It is still a sin. Make no mistake, that doesn't change. And you're absolutely right there. Biblically, it doesn't change. But based on today's norms and mores, people don't care if you're in a throuple. If it's you, your husband, and another dude or another chick. If you're a furry. I think mankind has gotten so far away from absolute truth. And there are so many people, especially in our nation, who don't believe in anything greater than themselves. That we have gotten so far away from that.
But the fact that we're saying it's to me, it's like we're allowing this to occur. So, so it's sort of like I guess it's sort of like what comes first, the apple, or the chicken or the egg. So the world changes its values, actually, like it changes fashion. But it's because we're allowing it. So if like for me, for instance, if I'm saying truth and morality are not outdated, you know, in my mind, they're eternal. Let's say if I had more people who thought like I did, then we wouldn't have a world like this. It wouldn't be a situation where, you know, we're saying the cult morality is changing due to the culture, because in my mind, truth and morality are eternal. And so, and they're coming from God. I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
Well, I mean, I guess what I would ask, what do you mean that we are allowing it? And I'm asking you, I want to understand what you mean by that. But I would say, if I understand you based on, I know you haven't answered, even biblically, these, I don't know, these things, I guess, I don't know what you call them. These instances have happened from Genesis to Revelation. There's no time in history of since man has been on the earth, there's no time that we have, quote unquote, not allowed it. I guess I don't understand what you mean by we allowed it, because I'm not,
because it's right now we're seeing a corrosion of it more so than I would say maybe like within the 50s and things like that. Because there are less people that are willing to stand up for truth and morality. We have more people who are willing to kind of sway and change instead of standing up for truth. So again, because when you think about it, really, truth and morality don't change. For instance, the value of human life. Now, and I'm not talking about the collective. I'm talking about the individual. Okay, us in an individually thinking. Value of human life. Okay, marriage and family. All this. I mean, it's, when you think about it, it's the same as it was from the beginning of time. If you value that this type of stuff, sexual morality, honesty and integrity, justice and fairness. I mean, when you think about all of this, and again, you're grounded in biblical truth, you know, again, God's justice is impartial. It's about truth, not tribes, you know, and things like that. So, but what we have allowed, what we have going on now is there not enough people standing up for these ideologies. And so we have a lot of people now who are being swayed, who are actually saying that the culture is changing us, when we need to be thinking, no, I need to change the culture. And if I need to influence the culture. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but I guess it stems from, I was actually talking to Gimpy earlier this week, and he said something to me that I never thought about. And this man, let me tell you all something about Gimpy. He's on Just the Guys. This man really can peg people, okay? He has a very good knack of really kind of just being able to kind of look at a situation, and he can really kind of pinpoint what your personality or what you're thinking. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but he told me that I am an ideologue.
You are.
Okay. And at first I was like, you know, really? You know, I was just like, I hope, because a lot of people, when you think of ideologue, it's not really a positive word, really. Generally, it's not.
Generally not the way it's used. You're right. Yeah.
But after I started thinking about it, and then I was thinking about this question, it made me realize that it's actually true ideologues that keep us on the path of morality. And
it's a very positive thing. Yeah. You think about the ideologue, right? So I completely agree with Gimpy in that your worldview is kind of through the prism of your Christianity. And I think that makes you someone who wants to believe the best, who's pushing the culture to change. But when you take a look at what the world has always been, I mean, even in biblical times, you look at Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you know what I mean? So we've had sin as long as there's been the world, and there has been a culture who sometimes have sat back and let sin happen. Let's take a look at the crucifixion of Jesus. You know, there are times when the world has sat back and shrugged its shoulders and said, you know, you look at the Holocaust, same thing. Absolute sin, absolute evil. And people were like, well, it's not happening to me. It don't really make a difference. Mankind always chooses the path of least resistance. It is just how we're made. It is what we believe in. The United States of America stands in the face of that, right? As a nation, we're the type of nation that says that's wrong. We're going to jump in and we're going to defend the right? Like going or having military exercises, let me be clear, in Nigeria to save the Christians. Calling their government to account, having Marco Rubio call him up and show him what he's working with, because Marco got some tools. He's not afraid. You know, all of these things are America's way of trying to right the culture of the world. Some people will tell you we don't have the right to do that because not all of the world is Christian. Not all of the world believes what we believe. But like you, most Americans are ideologues to say, listen, the Christian way, the Christian value is to do X, Y, Z. Unfortunately, most of our country doesn't believe it anymore.
The only thing I would add
I was going to say this real quick. With me, it's just like when I look at when I'm brought questions or different things, it's generally simple for me to answer. It's just there's not a lot of, I just see it and I go back to the ideologue thing in me. What do I believe? You know, because I have a core set of beliefs. And then generally most of my responses are coming from that.
Yes.
And so, yeah. And so, and then I just started looking at it. And I was like, you know what? That's me.
And it's wonderful. That's one of the most wonderful things about you. You are consistent with your Christianity.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we have a super chat real quick. I just lost my train of thought. So I'm sorry. We have Jessica. Thanks, Jessica. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jessica 834, and also a freedom seeker. Truth and morality may or may not be constant depending on the culture, such as Native Americans and tribal nations. They believe in the spiritual realms. Thank you for that, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
We have Shrinkarella 75, like Spinderella. So thank you for your $2 super chat. The truth and word of God never changes. Thank you, Shrinkarella. Chadwick, for your $10 super chat. Thank you. Says, okay, I'm going to give my 0.02 cents, basically. And this one, since Logic and I did this a little while ago. The Oxford English Dictionary has a definition of truth, and according to that definition, truth does change. All right. Okay, Chadwick. All right. And we have another one here. I think I see Chadwick is back again. $5 super chat. Now, KJ, you said biblical truth and truth. Biblical truth and truth. Those are two different things. I wanted to keep that a pen in that because I think that was my comment. Something to that effect. Rasubo 2, $5. Thank you for that. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, and the word of our God shall stand forever. Thank you for that King James version.
Amen.
Josh, thank you, Josh. Hi, Josh. Super chat. He says, I love this topic on truth and morality. We don't talk about it nearly enough. Honesty, integrity, dignity, respect, kindness, and love. We need it all. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Josh. So my comment, KJ, to Chadwick's pen, I think when we not get into this here, I think we need to, I guess, make a distinction, maybe, I'm not sure, between universal truths and then, I guess, societal truths. I guess that's how I want to say it. I'm just saying maybe we need to flesh that out more, maybe not tonight. The second thing I wanted to say is that to your comment, KJ, it seems like there are fewer people responding or standing up. I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know if that is the case. What may be happening is that there are people or remnants in every industry, if you will. We only see a good portion of it, social media. Okay, there may be remnants of people or however many in industry X, Y, Z standing up for those universal truth principles, if you will, or Judeo-Christian values, or just biblical truth. So we don't see the whole picture. That's what I mean about truth doesn't change, we may have more to add to it, or we may have a bigger picture as time goes on. That's what I was trying to say. Maybe it didn't come out clearly, but not that the truth changes, but sometimes people think, oh, well, what I know now, that it wasn't true. No, you may have more to the story.
Right.
That
You have more information now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and you know what, with Chadwick's question, maybe that's where we're differing, because with me, there is no difference between
Universal
biblical truth and truth.
Mhm.
Right. There's no universal truth. Biblical truth isn't sort of one version of truth. It's the only truth for me, because it's anchored in God's unchanging nature. So truth exists because God exists. Without God, there's no objective standard for right or wrong, only feelings and power. So the very concept of truth assumes an unchanging moral lawgiver. So that's why I'm saying there is no universal truth for me. There's only one truth, the biblical truth, and the world's truth shifts with emotions and policies. But that's why I'm saying God's truth, it transcends time. It's eternal. That is the truth for me. And so I think when we start speaking in these types of kind of play universal truth, and that weakens what we know of God's word. We shouldn't be saying there's no, and when I say we, I'm not trying to like judge anything. What I'm saying is we shouldn't, as Christians, allow thing, but we shouldn't allow the world to say, divide up these truths. We need to stand on the one and only truth, like the one and only God Almighty. And so this is why we get tricked into this idea of multiple truths.
Well,
it's
I
one
agree.
truth, biblical truth, and it's to separate it, I believe, is a cultural trick. It's a trick of the enemy.
I agree 100% with you, KJ. So here's the difference, though. Some of us are called to, our Christian walk calls us to be truth sayers, truth seekers, and people who impart truth to other people. And that's your calling. That is what you do well. Because your lens is so focused on God, so focused on what's absolute truth versus philosophical truth.
That's what I mean,
especially when you go away to college, they play with your thought processes about what's true and what's not true, and what's real and what's not real. And you see so many people graduating from college who don't believe in anything greater than themselves, because their version of truth has been challenged in a way by someone who has authority over them, university system, professors, whatever. It kind of skews their worldview, especially if you send your children away to a gigantic college where there will be an outcast if they stand on God's word instead of standing on cultural norms. So all of this to say, your calling, the calling on your life, allows you the good grace to see the world through a particular lens. But imagine if you're not a Christian, and the only version of truth that you know is the skewed, flexible, where I am in my lifetime. Even when you talk about sex and promiscuity, when you see young girls now getting married at 21 and 22, people are looking at them strange going, wait, but you have to have your slut bucket days. Between 17 and 30, you're supposed to be tossing dudes 3 and 4 at a time. You're missing out on all of this great sex. And they're saying, no, I've met my person. I want to settle down, have a family, and do all of the things that my religion teaches me, that I know that God wants for me. And the rest of the world is going, in 10 years, you're going to divorce him and you're going to be out here in these clubs giving it away. That's what's going to happen to you. And from their perspective, that's truth. It's a philosophical truth. It is not biblical truth. It is not absolute truth.
Yeah.
And I guess, again, when I say universal, I'm talking about the biblical truth, like you came on KJ. But again, and I'm also agreeing with you, Nicole, I'm saying universal. There's truth that applies to all of us. That's what I mean by universal. It applies to all of us. It doesn't change. I'll leave it there. It doesn't change.
All right. Great conversation. We got some more super chatters. Thank you guys so much.
All right, who do we have here? Is it TLJ 1220? with your $2 super chat. Thank you so much. She says, Nicole, I need your help with an issue with NLRB. Is that the National Labor something board?
I don't know, but just hit me up.
Okay.
All right, hit her out. Hit her out.
Yeah, nicole.ccrcc@gmail.com.
All right. Well, folks, we had a good time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Friday Night Live. We will be back. We'll be back on Monday night at 9 p.m. You can find us right here on Pop and Politics. Wishing you all a very happy weekend. Have a great time. Spend it with family and friends. And we'll be back on Monday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.